The ice in her glass made a sound like tiny bells every time she stirred it. That was the only interesting thing about the date. We were sitting in one of those trendy food court wine bars wedged inside the Fashion Valley Mall in San Diego. Bright lights, fake plants, too loud music. People walked past with shopping bags and perfect hair. It felt like everyone was on vacation except me. My name is Lucas Hayes. I live in San Diego, and I work as a forensic accountant for an insurance company. In simple words, I look at numbers when someone thinks they are being scammed, and I find the lie. I am good at reading patterns. Tonight the pattern said this date was a bad idea. So when he left the toilet seat up again, I told him that was emotional abuse. My date said, swirling the ice in her sangria like she was casting a spell. Her name was Jenna. My coworker set us up. She was in her late 30s, nice dress, lots of makeup, and she had not asked me a single question about my life in the last 30 minutes. Right, I said, taking a sip of my soda. Emotional abuse. She nodded hard. Exactly. I need a man who listens, she said. My therapist says I deserve that. She glanced down at her phone again. Her thumb moved fast over the screen. A notification flashed from another dating app. I looked at the reflection in the window beside us. I saw my own face, my gray t-shirt, my quiet expression, and the way I sat slightly angled away like I was already halfway out the door. That was when I felt the air change. It was subtle. The smell of the place shifted under the wine and food. A hint of jasmine and salt water wrapped around me like a memory. The fine hairs on my arms rose before my brain understood why. I looked toward the walkway and saw her. Rebecca Hart moved through the crowd like she owned the floor. Dark hair in a loose twist, simple white blouse, dark jeans, leather sandals. No flashy jewelry, just a silver bracelet and a small gold necklace I had seen 100 times. She carried 2 shopping bags in one hand and a coffee in the other. She was my best friend's mom. She was also the first woman I ever had a crush on. I met her when I was 12, and my friend Tyler dragged me over to his house to play video games. Rebecca had brought us pizza and asked me how school was like I was an actual person, not just Tyler's friend. I spent the next 10 years trying not to stare every time she walked into a room. Now she was walking straight toward me. She saw me before I could decide what to do. Her eyes flicked to Jenna, to the wine glass, back to me. A slow, amused smile curved her mouth. So, she said, stopping beside our table, you do like older women. Her voice was low and warm. Then she added, softer, interesting. Heat punched the back of my neck. I almost knocked over my soda. Jenna blinked and sat up straighter. Do you two know each other? She asked. I swallowed. Yeah, I said. This is Rebecca. She is Tyler's mom. My best friend. Rebecca's eyes held mine for a beat too long, like she was trying to read every thought in my head. It is good to see you, Lucas, she said. You clean up well. She did not give me a chance to reply. She gave Jenna a polite, unreadable nod and then stepped back into the flow of people. Enjoy your night, she said over her shoulder. Then she was gone, lost in the moving crowd, shopping bags swinging at her side. My heart was beating way too fast for a casual run-in at the mall. Jenna studied my face. She is pretty, she said. You never mentioned your friend has a hot mom. I forced a small smile. It never came up, I said. She took another sip of her drink and went back to her story about her ex and his gym habits, but my brain was stuck on Rebecca's words. You do like older women. Interesting. The thing is, she was not wrong. Most of the women I had been drawn to in the last few years were a little older, more grounded, less interested in games. I had tried dating girls my own age. It always felt like homework. With older women, it felt like the room had already grown up, and I could finally relax. But Rebecca was in a different category. Off limits. Untouched. Until she looked at me like that. By the time I walked Jenna to her car and did the polite, this was fun routine, my head was somewhere else entirely. The night air outside the mall was cool and smelled like asphalt and sea breeze. I sat in my car for a minute, staring at my phone. No new messages from Tyler. One from an unknown number. It was short. You looked miserable. Ma. I stared at the letter. R. My chest tightened. I typed back before I could overthink it. You were not supposed to see that. Her reply came fast. Bad blind date? Painful. I added a smiley face, then deleted it. I did not want to look like a kid. I settled on. You, she replied, mall run, supplies for the restaurant, and a new coffee mug I did not need. That sounded like her. Half practical, half soft. You could have come over for dinner, she added. Tyler says you live off takeout. I smiled in the dark car. That is slander, I wrote. I also eat cereal. Her answer was delayed this time. For a second, I wondered if I had crossed a line. Then my phone buzzed again. Come by tomorrow, she wrote. I could use help with something. Noon? My pulse jumped. Sure, I typed. I will be there. I knew I should ask what she needed help with. I knew I should treat it like any other favor for a friend's parent. But the truth was simple. If Rebecca Hart asked me to show up, I was going to show up. The next day, the sun over Mission Bay was bright enough to make the water look like broken glass. Rebecca's place, the Dockside, sat right on the boardwalk. It was a small, worn restaurant with blue trim, a chalkboard menu, and chairs that always needed repainting. It also felt more like home to me than any house I had ever lived in. I walked in the side door, past the kitchen. The smell of garlic, grilled fish, and fresh bread wrapped around me. The lunch rush had not hit yet. 2 line cooks prepped vegetables. Someone laughed in Spanish near the walk-in. Rebecca stood at the far end of the kitchen with a clipboard in her hand. She wore jeans, a gray Dockside t-shirt, and her hair pulled back into a messy knot. There was a smear of flour on her forearm. She looked tired and beautiful and absolutely in charge. She glanced up, saw me, and her shoulders relaxed a little. You came, she said. You told me to, I said. I am very obedient. She snorted. That is a lie, she said. You and Tyler used to break every rule I had. Only the dumb ones, I said. She smiled, and it did something to my chest that I did not want to think about. Come with me, she said. She led me through a narrow hallway to a small office at the back. It was barely big enough for a desk, a filing cabinet, and a corkboard covered in old photos.